The worst part about getting cheated on wasn't losing my boyfriend. It was realizing the entire school already knew before I did. The second Noah Hayes walked into the packed university gym, something felt wrong. The music was too loud, the laughter too sharp, and every time he looked at someone, they looked away a little too fast. Friday night volleyball rallies were basically sacred at Westbrook University. The championship banners hanging above the court, the flashing blue lights, the smell of sweat and popcorn mixed together. It always felt electric. But tonight, Noah felt like he couldn't breathe. He tightened his grip around the paper cup in his hand as he searched the crowded bleachers for his boyfriend, Caleb. 30 minutes ago, Caleb had texted him, "Meet me after the game. I miss you." Noah should have known something was off. Caleb never said things like that anymore. Not lately. Their relationship had been cold for months. Fewer calls, fewer dates, excuses piling up like dirty laundry neither of them wanted to touch. But Noah still came anyway because part of him kept hoping the guy he fell in love with would come back. Then he heard it. Laughter. Familiar laughter. Noah slowly turned toward the lower tunnel near the locker rooms, and his entire body froze. Caleb was there, and he wasn't alone. A blonde guy from the baseball team had both hands tangled in Caleb's hoodie while Caleb kissed him like Noah had never existed. For a second, the gym noise disappeared completely. Noah just stood there staring, unable to move while his chest tightened so hard it physically hurt. Then someone nearby whispered, "Oh my God." He finally found out. Another phone lifted into the air. Then another. Noah suddenly realized people weren't just watching. They were recording him. Caleb pulled away from the kiss first, looking almost annoyed when he spotted Noah standing there. "Seriously?" Noah's voice cracked embarrassingly. "You couldn't even tell me first?" The baseball player smirked and stepped back, clearly entertained. Caleb sighed like Noah was the inconvenience here. "I was going to tell you eventually." Noah stared at him in disbelief. "Eventually?" Caleb shrugged. "Come on, Noah. Don't make this dramatic." A few people actually laughed. Noah felt heat crawl up his neck instantly. Humiliation hit harder than heartbreak. He looked around the gym and realized everyone was waiting for him to either cry or snap. Someone in the crowd muttered, "That's brutal." Another voice whispered, "I heard Caleb's been cheating for months." Months. Noah's stomach dropped. Caleb crossed his arms. "You're acting pathetic right now." That word landed harder than anything else. Pathetic. Noah's fingers trembled around the paper cup before it slipped from his hand, ice and soda splashing across the polished gym floor. More laughter. Someone zoomed their phone camera closer. Noah took a shaky step backward, wishing the floor would open beneath him. He wanted to disappear. But the second he turned toward the exit, someone slammed into his shoulder from behind. Noah lost balance instantly on the spilled drink beneath his sneakers. Gasps erupted around the bleachers as he stumbled hard toward the floor. Except he never hit it. A large hand caught his wrist mid-fall. Strong fingers wrapped firmly around him before another arm steadied his waist. The gym suddenly went silent. Completely silent. Noah looked up in confusion, only to feel his heartbeat stop all over again because standing in front of him was Luca Bennett, captain of the Westbrook Wolves volleyball team, the most famous guy on campus, and judging by the terrifying expression on Luca's face right now, he looked absolutely furious. Noah could feel every single person in the gym staring at him, but somehow Luca Bennett was the only thing he could see. Up close, the volleyball captain looked even more unreal than he did in photos online. Tall enough to tower over almost everyone around him, broad shoulders still damp from the game, dark hair messy from sweat, and sharp blue eyes locked onto Noah like nothing else in the room mattered. His hand stayed firmly around Noah's wrist, steady and warm. "You okay?" Luca asked quietly. The softness in his voice completely clashed with the dangerous look on his face. Noah blinked in confusion. Yeah." It was obviously a lie. Luca glanced down at the soda spilled across the court before slowly lifting his gaze toward Caleb. The entire gym felt tense instantly. Caleb gave an awkward laugh. "Dude, this has nothing to do with you." Luca did not even look remotely impressed. "Funny," he said calmly. "Because I think it does." Murmurs exploded through the bleachers. Noah could practically hear people whispering Luca's name from every direction. Westbrook's volleyball captain never got involved in drama. Ever. He barely even talked to people outside his team, which was why nobody understood why he was standing so close to Noah right now. Caleb crossed his arms defensively. Look, man, he is my ex. We are handling it. Luca's jaw tightened slightly at the word ex. Then, without warning, he stepped even closer to Noah until their shoulders touched. Ex. Luca repeated slowly. That is interesting. Noah's pulse started racing again. Something about the way Luca said it sounded almost personal. Caleb frowned. What is that supposed to mean? Luca finally looked directly at him, expression cold enough to make the entire gym go silent again. It means, Luca said evenly, you dumped my boyfriend for that guy? The reaction was instant. Gasps. Phones lifting higher. Someone near the front literally shouted, Wait, what? Noah's brain completely short-circuited. My boyfriend? He turned toward Luca so fast he nearly lost balance again. What? He whispered under his breath. But Luca barely acknowledged him. His focus stayed entirely on Caleb, whose face had gone pale in record time. You are joking, Caleb said. Luca raised an eyebrow. Do I look like I am joking? Noah could not believe what was happening. There was no way the most popular athlete on campus had just publicly claimed him in front of hundreds of people. This had to be some misunderstanding. Some prank. But Luca's hand slid carefully from Noah's wrist down to his hand itself, fingers loosely wrapping around his like it was the most natural thing in the world. The gym exploded again. Noah heard camera shutters everywhere. Somebody behind him whispered, Oh my God, Luca Bennett has a boyfriend. Caleb looked furious now, but underneath the anger Noah could see something even worse. Jealousy. Since when? Caleb snapped. Luca shrugged casually. Long enough. Noah stared at him in disbelief. Long enough for what? They had barely spoken before. Sure, Noah had seen Luca around campus. Everyone had. It was impossible not to notice him during games with crowds chanting his name like he was some celebrity athlete. But they were not friends. They definitely were not dating. And yet somehow Luca was standing there acting like Noah belonged beside him. Luca glanced sideways at Noah then, just for a second. His expression softened almost immediately. You do not have to stay here, he said quietly. Come with me. Noah should have pulled away. Any sane person would have. But after the humiliation, the staring, the recording phones, and Caleb looking at him like he was disposable, Luca's presence felt weirdly safe. Dangerous, confusing, completely insane, but safe. Noah swallowed hard. Why are you doing this? Luca's thumb brushed lightly against Noah's knuckles before he answered. Because I am tired of watching people hurt you. Noah's breath caught instantly. Then Luca looked back toward the crowd, still holding Noah's hand, and said something that made the entire gym lose its mind all over again. And if anyone uploads those videos of him tonight, Luca said coldly, they can deal with me personally. The second Caleb started walking toward them, Noah felt the tiny sense of safety around him disappear again. Students near the gym entrance immediately slowed down to watch, their phones already pointed in this direction like they had been waiting for another scene to explode. Caleb shoved his hands into his jacket pockets as he approached, forcing out a laugh that sounded anything but amused. Seriously, he said, staring directly at Noah. You moved on with Luca Bennett in like 10 minutes? Noah opened his mouth instantly. That is not what happened. But Caleb ignored him completely, eyes locked on Luca instead. You know he is using you, right? That one sentence hit harder than Noah expected. Around them, whispers immediately spread through the crowd again. Noah hated how quickly public opinion could shift. 30 minutes ago, he was the guy who got cheated on. Now people were looking at him like maybe he had been hiding a secret relationship with the campus volleyball star the whole time. Like maybe he was the liar instead. Caleb smirked slightly when he noticed Noah hesitate. Come on, Noah. He continued loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. You honestly expect people to believe this is real? Noah felt his stomach twist painfully. Because the worst part was, Caleb was right. It was fake. Whatever this was between him and Luca, it was built on a lie told in front of hundreds of people. Before Noah could answer, another voice suddenly joined in from the crowd. Maybe he planned this for attention. More murmurs followed immediately. That would explain a lot. Luca would never date someone like him normally. Noah's chest tightened again. The humiliation from earlier came rushing back all at once. He took a small step backward automatically, trying not to show how much the comments were getting to him. Then Luca moved. Calmly, smoothly, deliberately. He stepped directly beside Noah until their shoulders brushed again, placing himself between Noah and the growing crowd, without making it obvious. The movement was subtle, but protective enough that everyone noticed instantly. Luca looked at Caleb with complete indifference. You seem very interested in my relationship. Caleb's jaw tightened. I am interested because this is obviously fake. Luca nodded once like he was considering that seriously. Interesting theory. It is not a theory. Caleb scoffed. Noah literally told me he had never even spoken to you before. Noah's face paled immediately. That was true too. Or at least mostly true. He had exchanged maybe 3 conversations with Luca in the past 2 years. Caleb folded his arms confidently, clearly thinking he had won. So either he is lying to you, or you are lying to everyone else. For the first time all night, Luca smiled. It was small, calm, almost elegant. But somehow it completely changed the atmosphere around him. Actually, Luca said softly, Noah has been trying to keep us private for months. The crowd instantly exploded. With reactions again, Noah turned toward him in shock. Months? Luca did not even blink. He does not like attention, Luca continued smoothly. Which, unfortunately, you clearly enjoy. Caleb's expression darkened. You are making this up. Luca tilted his head slightly. Do you really want to keep arguing with me in front of everyone? The scary part was that Luca never raised his voice once. He stayed perfectly composed while Caleb slowly started looking more emotional and defensive by comparison. People nearby were already whispering again, but now it sounded different. Wait, maybe they were dating secretly. That would explain why Luca got involved so fast. Noah looks nervous because he hates attention. Noah could barely process what was happening. Somehow Luca was controlling the entire situation without sounding aggressive at all. Then Caleb suddenly laughed bitterly and looked straight at Noah. You really think he actually cares about you? That one hurt. Because Noah had been wondering the exact same thing. Silence stretched between them for a second too long. Then Luca reached up unexpectedly and adjusted the sleeve of Noah's hoodie gently, almost absent-mindedly. Such a tiny action should not have meant anything. But the familiarity of it made Noah's heartbeat stumble again. Luca finally looked at Caleb directly. I care enough, he said quietly, to know he bites the inside of his cheek when he is anxious. Noah froze instantly. Because he did. And he had been doing it this entire conversation. Caleb's expression changed immediately. Confusion, suspicion, jealousy. But Noah could not even focus on him anymore. He was too busy staring at Luca, trying to understand one terrifying question. How did Luca Bennett know that about him? Noah immediately stepped back when the silver-haired man approached, every instinct telling him he had somehow walked into a situation far bigger than a fake relationship. Up close, the man looked intimidating in the quietest possible way. Perfect posture, expensive watch, calm eyes that missed absolutely nothing. He carried the same sharp features as Luca, just colder, more controlled. Luca's entire body tensed beside Noah instantly. Father, he said flatly. Noah blinked. Father? The older man studied Noah carefully before offering a polite smile that somehow felt more terrifying than anger. I expected someone different, he admitted calmly. Noah opened his mouth, unsure what he was even supposed to say to that. But Luca stepped slightly in front of him again. Do not do this here. The man's expression barely changed. Then perhaps you should stop creating public scandals outside my board meetings. Noah felt his stomach twist. Scandal. That was what this was to people like them. Not feelings. Not humiliation. Just damage control. Students nearby had already started whispering again while pretending not to stare. Noah suddenly became painfully aware of his cheap sneakers, oversized hoodie, and the fact that he clearly did not belong anywhere near people like the Bennetts. Luca's father looked toward the waiting SUV. Get in the car. Both of you. No. Luca answered immediately. The tension between them changed instantly. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just sharp enough that Noah felt trapped in the middle of something deeply personal. The older man sighed softly. You are embarrassing yourself. Luca's jaw tightened. I learned from the best. Noah looked between them, confusion growing by the second. Whatever relationship Luca had with his family, it was definitely not warm. Then Luca's father glanced at Noah again. You should be careful, he said calmly. People around my son rarely leave unaffected. Before Noah could respond, Luca cut in immediately. Enough. It was the first time Noah had heard real emotion crack through Luca's composure. Not anger exactly. Fear. The older man noticed too. For a long second, Father and son stared at each other silently before the man finally adjusted his suit sleeve. "You have training at 6 tomorrow morning," he reminded Luca. "Do not disappoint me again." Then he got back into the SUV without another word. The second the vehicle disappeared down the street, the air around Luca seemed to collapse completely. Noah looked at him carefully. "You okay?" Luca laughed softly under his breath, but there was no humor in it. "Not really." Rain started falling a few seconds later. Light at first, then heavier. Students scattered across campus immediately, running for cover while thunder rolled somewhere above the city skyline. Noah instinctively pulled his hood up, but Luca stayed completely still in the rain like he barely noticed it. For the first time since they met, he looked exhausted. Not physically, emotionally. Noah hesitated before speaking again. "You do not have to keep pretending with me." Luca finally looked at him then. Rain dampened his dark hair across his forehead, while campus lights reflected softly in his eyes. "What if I am not pretending anymore?" Noah's chest tightened painfully at how honest that sounded. Luca looked away first. "My father controls almost everything in my life," he admitted quietly. "What I study, who I meet, what games I play, what interviews I give." Noah frowned slightly. "You are 22. That means nothing in my family." Luca gave a bitter smile. "To them, I am not a person yet. I am an investment." The honesty in his voice caught Noah off guard. Suddenly, the expensive cars, private security, and cold expression all made more sense. Luca was not just rich. He was trapped. Rain soaked through Noah's sleeves as silence stretched between them. Then Luca slowly removed his jacket and held it over Noah's head instead. "You are freezing," he murmured. Noah stared at him. "What about you?" "I am used to it." Something about that answer hurt more than it should have. Luca guided Noah toward the car parked nearby, keeping the jacket above him the entire walk despite getting completely drenched himself. Once they reached the passenger side, Luca opened the door carefully. Noah hesitated before getting in. "Why me?" he asked softly. Luca went still for half a second. Then he leaned one arm against the car door, rain dripping from his hair, while his voice dropped almost to a whisper. "Because you looked lonely in the exact same way I have felt my whole life." Noah forgot how to breathe for a moment. Then Luca looked directly into his eyes and said the one thing Noah knew would completely destroy whatever distance he had been trying to keep between them. "And because losing you scares me more than disappointing my family ever could." For exactly 3 days, Noah almost believed the rumors about him and Luca were becoming something real. Luca picked him up after classes, walked him home at night, sat beside him during lunch without caring who stared. Every time someone whispered something cruel nearby, Luca would calmly place a drink in front of Noah or ask him about his day like the rest of the world did not matter. It should have felt fake. Instead, it felt dangerously comforting, which was why everything shattered so badly on Friday morning. Noah knew something was wrong the second he stepped on a campus. People were staring again, not curious this time. Judgmental, harsh, cruel. Conversations stopped when he walked by. Phones tilted toward him immediately. Somebody laughed near the student center. Another person whispered, "There he is." Noah's stomach dropped. He pulled out his phone and instantly froze. A new post was spreading across every student account on campus. Exclusive, leaked contract between Luca Bennett and his fake boyfriend. Noah's blood ran cold. His shaking fingers opened the attached photos. The first image showed a fake legal agreement with both his name and Luca's printed across the top. Terms of relationship exposure. Public appearances required. Reputation management benefits. Compensation pending. Noah stared at the screen in horror. It looked terrifyingly real. The second image was worse. A blurry, edited screenshot of messages supposedly sent from Noah to a friend. "I cannot believe the Bennett thing actually worked. Rich guys are so easy to manipulate." More posts appeared underneath every second. "He used Luca for money." "Gold digger exposed." "Campus clown caught lying." Noah physically stopped walking because suddenly he could not breathe right anymore. "Noah." Dylan grabbed his arm in panic after spotting him near the library steps. "Please tell me those screenshots are fake." Noah looked up helplessly. "They are fake." But the problem with the internet was that nobody cared about truth once humiliation became entertaining. Students nearby were already staring openly now. "I knew it. There is no way Luca Bennett would actually date him. This is embarrassing." Noah backed away from the crowd instinctively, face burning hotter with every whisper. Then his phone buzzed again. Campus Athletic Center press event starting now. Luca was scheduled to appear for an interview before tomorrow's championship game. Noah's chest tightened painfully. If Luca saw those fake screenshots, the thought alone made him feel sick. Before Noah could stop himself, he turned and ran across campus through the growing rain. By the time he reached the athletic center, reporters and students already crowded outside the building. Giant screens inside played clips from the volleyball team's practice, while social media comments exploded across the bottom ticker. Even the reporters were discussing the leaked contract now. Noah pushed through the crowd desperately until he finally spotted Luca standing near the interview stage in a black team jacket, surrounded by cameras. Their eyes met instantly across the room. Relief hit Noah so hard it almost hurt, until he saw Luca's expression. Calm, blank, unreadable. Noah slowed down immediately. A reporter suddenly raised a microphone toward Luca. Luca, have you seen the allegations claiming your relationship with Noah Hayes was staged for publicity? The entire room went silent. Noah's heartbeat pounded violently in his ears while every camera turned toward Luca. Say something, Noah thought desperately. Please. Luca looked directly at him from across the crowded room. But he did not answer. 1 second passed. Then another. The silence became unbearable instantly. Noah felt his chest cave inward. Because for the first time since all this started, Luca looked uncertain. Another reporter jumped in immediately. Did Noah manipulate you? More cameras flashed. Was there a contract? Did he use your family connections? Noah's hands started shaking. The silence hurt worse than yelling would have. Somewhere deep down, fear whispered the thing Noah never wanted to admit out loud. Maybe Luca finally realized Noah was not worth the damage this scandal could cause. Maybe his father had gotten involved. Maybe this was the moment Luca chose his family, reputation, and future over him. Noah took a slow step backward. Then another. The crowd barely noticed him leaving because everyone was waiting for Luca's answer instead. Noah looked down, humiliation burning through him all over again. He should have known this fantasy would end eventually. But just as he turned toward the exit, Luca finally spoke. And the first thing he said made the entire room erupt into chaos. Whoever leaked those documents, Luca said coldly, made one very stupid mistake. The entire athletic center went silent after Luca spoke. Reporters stopped moving. Cameras froze midair. Even the massive screens hanging above the stage seemed too bright against the sudden tension filling the room. Noah stood near the exit with his heartbeat pounding violently in his chest, while every pair of eyes turned back toward Luca. Luca remained perfectly calm beneath the flashing cameras, one hand resting loosely against the microphone stand while the other held his phone. The contract being shared online today, he said evenly, contains 2 signatures. A giant image of the leaked document appeared on the screen behind him. Reporters immediately started taking pictures again. Luca glanced at the image once before continuing. Mine is real. The crowd erupted instantly. Noah's stomach dropped all over again. For one horrible second, it felt like the floor disappeared beneath him. But Luca raised one hand slightly, and somehow the room quieted again almost immediately. The second signature, he continued calmly, is fake. Noah looked up sharply. Luca tapped his phone once, and the giant screen changed again. This time, side-by-side comparisons appeared behind him. Noah's real student documents on one side, the leaked signature on the other. Even from the back of the room, the differences were obvious. The forged signature was digitally created using public university records, Luca explained. Which is illegal, by the way. Nervous murmurs spread through the audience instantly. Luca's expression never changed. The edited text messages were also fabricated. Another image appeared behind him. Metadata reports. Timestamps. Editing. History. Noah blinked in disbelief. Luca had somehow prepared all this within minutes. A reporter near the front frowned. Who leaked it? Luca finally looked away from the screen and directly toward the crowd. Someone who thought humiliating Noah Hayes would make them feel powerful. The room went still again. Then Luca slowly stepped away from the interview stage entirely. Straight toward Noah. Cameras immediately followed him. Noah's pulse raced harder with every step Luca took closer. Luca, one reporter called out quickly. If the relationship started as fake, then what exactly is he to you now? The entire room held its breath waiting for the answer. Noah did too. Luca stopped directly in front of him before speaking. At first, Luca admitted softly enough that the microphones barely caught it. I said what I said because I could not stand watching someone destroy him in public. Noah's chest tightened painfully. Luca looked directly into his eyes then, completely ignoring the cameras surrounding them. But somewhere along the way, he continued quietly, it stopped feeling fake to me. A sharp wave of reactions exploded through the room instantly. Noah forgot how to breathe for a second. Luca did not look away. I know everyone thinks Noah is using me, he said calmly. But the truth is, I was the one who kept pulling him into my world. Another reporter interrupted quickly. So you are officially confirming the relationship is real now? Luca smiled faintly then. Small. Honest. Nothing like the cold, controlled expressions he usually wore. I am confirming, he answered, that Noah is the only person in this room who never asked me for anything. Noah's vision blurred slightly before he realized his eyes were burning. Around them, cameras flashed nonstop, while students whispered in shock. Somewhere near the front, Noah even spotted Caleb standing frozen beside the entrance, his expression pale with disbelief. Luca noticed him too. But instead of reacting angrily, Luca simply reached for Noah's hand in front of everyone. Slow enough for every camera to capture it clearly. Intentional enough to make the entire room lose its mind again. You all wanted a statement, Luca said calmly while intertwining their fingers. Here it is. Then he looked directly at Noah instead of the cameras. I am done letting people turn you into entertainment. Noah's throat tightened so badly he could not speak. Because for the first time since this nightmare started, somebody was not protecting him out of pity. Luca was choosing him publicly. Completely. And somehow that felt more terrifying than the scandal itself. Reporters immediately started shouting questions again, while security struggled to control the crowd, but Noah barely heard any of it anymore. He was too focused on the warmth of Luca's hand holding his so carefully in front of the entire world. Then Luca leaned slightly closer and said something only Noah could hear over the chaos around them. I told you already, he murmured softly. Losing you scares me more than any of this. Everything changed after that press conference. By the next morning, the same campus that had mocked Noah was suddenly obsessed with defending him instead. The fake screenshots were traced back to an anonymous account connected to one of Caleb's friends from the baseball team. Every social media page that spent days humiliating Noah now posted apologies, explanations, or deleted their comments entirely. But the strangest part was not the internet changing sides. It was Luca. He stayed beside Noah through all of it without hesitation. During classes, during lunch, after volleyball practice, and even during the unbearable flood of reporters waiting outside campus gates. Every time cameras appeared, Luca would calmly guide Noah closer beside him like it was the most natural thing in the world. No hiding, no embarrassment, no regret. And somehow that mattered more to Noah than the public apology ever could. Saturday night arrived faster than expected. Westbrook University's championship game sold out completely after the scandal exploded online. The arena lights burned bright enough to make the entire court glow silver and blue, while thousands of students screamed from the bleachers. Noah sat near the front row wearing Luca's spare team jacket wrapped around his shoulders, trying to ignore the cameras that kept finding him every few minutes. You are basically famous now, Dylan whispered beside him. Noah groaned softly. Please do not remind me. But despite the chaos, despite the pressure, despite everything that happened this week, Noah could not stop smiling every time Luca looked toward him from the court during warm-ups. Because every single time, Luca smiled back immediately. Like Noah was the only thing grounding him in the middle of all this noise. The game itself felt unreal. Fast, loud, electric. Luca dominated the court with terrifying focus, earning cheers every time he scored while commentators practically shouted his name through the speakers overhead. But near the final set, Noah noticed something strange. Luca kept glancing toward the entrance tunnel between plays. Nervous, distracted. Then Noah saw why. Luca's father had arrived. The silver-haired man stood near the back of the arena in a dark suit, watching silently with unreadable eyes. Noah's chest tightened instantly. He expected Luca to tense up the second he noticed him too. Instead, Luca looked toward Noah first. Just one quick glance across the crowded arena. But somehow Noah understood immediately. Luca was checking if he was still there. Noah nodded slightly without even thinking about it. I am here. Something softened in Luca's expression instantly. And after that, He played like someone who finally had nothing left to prove. Westbrook won the championship point 12 minutes later. The arena exploded into chaos. Students screamed. Confetti blasted across the court. Teammates tackled each other laughing, while cameras rushed forward from every direction. Noah stood automatically with the rest of the crowd, heart pounding while Luca disappeared beneath flashing lights and celebrating teammates. Then suddenly the entire arena started chanting one thing. Noah! 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 Noah froze in complete shock. Dylan nearly shoved him forward. They are calling you. Before Noah could process anything, Luca broke free from the crowd on the court and started walking directly toward the stands. Thousands of people watched him climb the steps one at a time until he finally stopped right in front of Noah. Up close, Luca looked exhausted and happy in a way Noah had never seen before. Sweat dampened his hair, while championship confetti clung to his shoulders under the arena lights. Then Luca held something out toward him. A folded piece of paper. Noah frowned slightly before taking it. What is this? Luca smiled softly. A new contract. Noah blinked in confusion before opening it carefully. The paper contained only one sentence. No conditions. No fake clauses. No signatures required. Just a simple handwritten line across the middle of the page. Stay with me because you want to. Noah looked back up instantly, emotion catching painfully in his throat. Around them, the entire arena had gone quiet again, watching the moment unfold. Luca's expression softened even more. No pressure, he said quietly. No pretending anymore. I just want something real with you. Noah laughed shakily through burning eyes before folding the paper carefully and slipping it into his pocket. Then, without caring about the cameras or the screaming crowd or the powerful family still watching from the shadows above the court, Noah reached for Luca's hand first this time. The arena erupted all over again as their fingers intertwined beneath the falling confetti, but Luca only looked at Noah like none of the noise mattered anymore. And for the first time in a very long time, Noah realized he was no longer scared of being seen.